Hey, there we are. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning from the office. We are North Georgia's only live online telecast. Morning, Bruce.
Morning, Rick.
Well, if you're expecting to see Brian this morning, you're out of luck.
You're stuck with us.
Yeah, you're stuck with us. Brian is, I don't know whether should we call him iced in or snowed in this morning?
I'm not sure. Whatever.
Yeah, come on, get closer, buddy. We haven't seen each other in a while.
Shift.
There we go. Yeah, we're here sitting in for Brian this morning. We're delighted to be here. We got a little chill up in North Georgia up here. We got some frozen precip during the night. Nothing to write home about. Nothing that us hardy ex-Chicagoans couldn't withstand. We made
non-event.
We made it to the friendly confines here without any problem. So I don't know if any of the schools have slated to open late today, or any of the county offices, but
I think the Fannin schools are on a delayed opening.
they are the delayed opening, and
yeah.
that's typically because there's one high school that serves the entire county, and it's a lot of geography, not a lot of population, but a lot of geography, and you've got
A lot up and down.
a lot of back roads and a lot of up and down for the buses to cover. So it's not like you can't get there when you're in downtown Blue Ridge where the school is located. But anyway, we're getting into the weeds on that.
Are the buses four-wheel drive? Or are they?
The buses are not four-wheel drive. Can you imagine the transfer case that would
I'm
have
just
to
asking.
that would have to accommodate? Maybe a short bus would be
So-
four-wheel drive.
So they're rear-wheel drive.
They are
Okay.
rear.
So they can
drive.
drift those babies.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Yeah,
you don't want them drifting them with the
Do
kids.
a power
huh?
slide on the mountain roads. Anyway, we digress. We're delighted to be here this morning, sitting in for Brian for BKP, who's let's just say he's on assignment somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah.
Destiny's in charge this morning, though.
we
She
do all
is.
those?
I think Destiny put all those up.
Oh, well, okay.
Following us on the different social media accounts. I think you put that up earlier on, Destiny. But we're delighted to have you here at the helm and guide us through the newsworthy chicanes this morning, as you say.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's going on in your life?
Articles of impeachment. I mean, it's
Again?
finally come to this articles of impeachment as of yesterday, and they
You're not tired of talking about it, huh?
no, it's
All right.
we're going to be talking about it for weeks, months on
All
end.
right, here we go.
So
Yeah.
it came down to abuse of power and obstruction of Congress, not obstruction of
Hey, where did that
justice.
bribery thing go?
Bribery went by the boards. So did extortion.
Where did that quid pro quo go?
By the boards. By the boards.
Couldn't prove it?
I
Didn't
think
they prove anything?
Well, I mean, even these two things are very weak. So I have a little thing here from Robert Ray, who
Robert Ray, the former...
special prosecutor, took over
special-
for Ken Starr with
Yeah.
the Clinton deal.
Yeah.
Or no, yeah, it was Clinton. Anyway, he said they've passed through treason, they passed through bribery, they passed through extortion, they passed through illegal campaign contributions, and they passed through obstruction of justice. What they have is two very weak charges, in his opinion. So it's very, very sad to see it come to this. So
When are they going to get to that emoluments clause?
who knows when? That'll probably be next. When this one falls by the wayside, they'll find something else.
The whole purpose, I'm just absolutely convinced the whole purpose is we've said it time and time again. We say it on Friday when we're with you, with the audience on the All-Star panel with Jane. They do not have a candidate, and they verbalize it. Al Green,
He's a congressman from Texas.
the Wolfman.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Wolfman, Al Green, out of Texas. We've got to impeach him because we can't beat him.
Yeah.
Hey, that's what he says.
If we don't impeach him, he will be reelected.
And that's exactly what Schiff said yesterday in his funeral dirge that he put forth.
It's the same old song, repeated again and again, just with different terms and things like that. So it's pretty sad that it's come to this. And articles of impeachment, I think they're going to try and get a vote today or tomorrow.
Boy, they're ramming this thing through fast.
Yeah, yeah. And of course, there's two schools of thought on that. You know, if they really want to like get it through quick and be done with it, because they know it's going to die in the Senate, then there's a question how the Senate's going to deal with it. But I think they want to get this past everybody, and so they can concentrate on the election.
Did you not find it strange yesterday, or did you might find it contrived that they came out with these goofballs, of 7 of them yesterday, including Nancy Pelosi, standing there reading these articles of impeachment and how solemn and somber a day it was.
Oh, yes.
And what a sad day it was for the country. And then literally 45 minutes later, they come out and say, we're here to pass the USMCA.
Yep.
And
With
by the
a
way,
huge group behind them. With a huge group. And like,
and by the way, what we got from the president was just not acceptable. We had to take it, massage it, and make it so much better. We got Trumpka involved. We got the unions involved. We got these people involved, and it was just so. It was gross.
well, it's like, you know, we had to deconstruct the deal and then rebuild it and make it so much better than it was. What they say, they received a flawed NAFTA bill from President Trump.
Yeah, a flawed NAFTA bill.
Yeah, well, excuse me, that happened under Bill Clinton, who passed the bill
That was
originally.
the flawed NAFTA bill.
Yeah, yeah.
Not the USMCA.
No, not at all. I mean,
It was just so contrived, though, that they came out with that right afterwards. And to your point, you know, let's get the impeachment thing over with, and then get to something that we can take some credit for, or we can hang our hat on, so it doesn't look like we're going through the impeachment process.
well, yes. I mean, and, you know, the articles of impeachment, I've renamed them the particles of derangement. And, I mean, it's
Did you
it's
get
like...
a TM on that? That's pretty copyright, anything? That's,
I probably should.
Yeah.
I wanted to create a new word, farticle, but anyway. But the impeachment issue to me is sort of like, you know, the rotting fish in the room, and they basically had to do the MCA to get past the smell of the rotting fish. Because,
that's exactly right.
yeah. And President Trump said as much at the rally last night. He said they're just trying to muffle all the bad news and the bad vibes that are coming out of the impeachment across the country, even among their base.
Right.
I mentioned to you that Turning Point USA had a clip on where they sent a reporter out into the streets of California, you know, very liberal cities there, and he asked people, said, should President Trump be impeached? And virtually 90% of all the people they talked to, and I don't know if they were screened or not, but sort of just citizens on the street, over 90% of them said no. I mean, they had very few people that said he should be impeached. I think people across this country, whether you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, or anything in between, are sick of this. They're just sick of it.
Yeah. Granted, you know, I'm prejudiced to one side. However, I really do believe this is going to backfire. I think this is going to have such a backlash effect.
I think it already has, and Trump mentioned that in the rally last night. The Firehouse survey of all the battleground states, I think 7 or 8 states now Trump is beating every single Democratic candidate, starting from Biden by I think 5 or 6 points, down to Mayor Pete and Bernie by like 15 or 20 points. So these polls, Firehouse, when they last did their last one, he was behind.
Firehouse a pollster?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
They're a survey group.
All right.
And, you know, I think the last one they did that covered these, whether it was a month or 2 months ago, he was behind every one of them. Now he's in front of every one of them. So I think the pendulum is swinging, folks.
It's just incredulous that we have to go through this. And, you know, you look at the other side of the street with the economy and the jobs reports and the numbers from Black Friday.
Oh, yeah.
We're
And
off
Cyber Monday.
And Cyber Monday, we're just off the chart.
Phenomenal, yeah.
Phenomenal numbers. You follow it closer than I do. You know, I'm assuming that the way the market continues to rally, that the earnings reports continue to at least stay on the positive side.
Yeah, the market is chugging along despite all this distracting news. It's doing quite well, and I mean, if you look at the U.S. compared to economies in Europe and Asia, we are definitely a world leader right now. Our economy is the one that is doing very well across a number of sectors. There are some sectors that, as always, will not be quite as strong as others, but is doing very well. And you get the Democrats just dumping abuse on everything that the president does. The media is giving no credit to what's going on with the economy. They want to talk about impeachment, the IG report.
Whose war really is this, do you think, against Trump? Is it the media's war?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're in bed with they're the propaganda arm of the Democratic Party, in my humble opinion.
No, I truly believe that that's correct.
Yeah, I mean, we've said this before. I mean, they're basically the Ministry of Propaganda. No.
Did you watch the rally last night?
I did watch part of the rally.
Yeah, we were out last night at a charity event, and I didn't get to see it, and I failed to record it, so I didn't. I saw that the Hershey, Pennsylvania, what they call the Giant Center in Hershey, Pennsylvania, held 10,500 people.
It was packed,
and it was solid packed early on,
and it was raucous.
And the people outside, there were just as many people outside. They had monitors and they had sound equipment out there, but the weather was horrible. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was raining.
Yeah, miserable.
And people still stood out there, and you cannot overlook that if you're a Democrat. You just can't look past that, especially when you see, some of the town halls that don't drag anybody off the streets.
And where was Bernie Sanders recently?
Bernie Sanders, yes.
Bernie just Sanders, in terms of juxtaposition.
Yeah, Bernie Sanders was in a little town hall gathering invited by the Culinary Union in Las Vegas.
Chefs and cooks.
I think that was, yeah. They didn't have any pots and pans to throw at him, but there was a lot of backlash against old the 80. What is he? 86? Is that right?
No, he's not that old.
Oh, he's not?
No, I think he's 80.
He just looks it. Or is that Nancy I'm thinking of?
No, he's in his 70s. He's in his 70s.
Okay, anyway, he got literally lambasted when he came out with his Medicare for all, and then he started to, sidestep, and you've worked hard for this, you've given up your wages for this, you should have Medicare for all, and they're just going... They're chanting union health care.
Get out of here.
Yeah, they don't want that. They want what Congress has. They want the good stuff.
Yeah, well, Congress isn't going to share that with too many people.
But, I mean, Bernie doesn't get 10,500 people to show up for anything.
No.
I mean, they had that rally in New York that was, co-chaired by AOC, and that was a big outdoor thing. Mm-hmm. Half of the people just wondering what was going on just stopped by.
Well, often
so they get counted
food.
In. Yeah, and all the freebies. Let's go get some free stuff.
But you look at the Democratic, slate of candidates. I mean, and you have Joe, who's just every time he opens his mouth, I mean, he just puts his foot in it.
Boy, he is just a gaffe machine.
And then you have Elizabeth, and then you have Corey, and you got Mayor Pete, and Kamala's out.
Corey,
yeah,
the only person of color anymore left.
Exactly. I mean, and you just look at that group and the way they're milling around, and and some of the positions are so left of center that we've talked about this on the Friday show, that it's hard to believe that the mainstream media spends any time analyzing these things that are never going to come to fruition. I mean, Medicare for all, give free college to everybody. Basically jack the tax rates. These things are not going to happen.
No.
And so many of the talking heads on TV spend hours in the week.
Debating it.
Every week, every month, analyzing and saying, how this is going to affect it, and how, its chances of passage. And folks, it's not going to happen.
Right.
So let's get on to something real.
Maybe if we talked about the Durham report, that would be real, or maybe the Horowitz IG report.
Yeah, well, the Horowitz is out now, the Inspector General report. the Durham report is, I just heard this the other day. I thought it was going to be sooner. They said it might not be out till late spring, early summer.
Wow.
So that guy's doing some homework, and he's got a lot to chew on.
Well, do you think maybe that's a positioning point too?
Oh, definitely.
I mean, if you're talking about late spring, early summer, you're talking about the battleground season of the campaigns.
It's leading right up to the conventions. It'll be, I think the conventions are July. The Republican convention's a foregone conclusion. But the Democratic convention, I mean, we will have winnowed out one of these candidates, or someone new will have stepped in. We'll talk about that maybe.
They came out. Are you talking about Hillary?
I'm talking about Hillary.
Do you know? Did you believe that report that came out yesterday that said that if Hillary threw her hat in the race or threw whatever she throws into the race,
Her pantsuit.
what's that?
Her pantsuit.
Yeah, exactly. Her pantsuit. I'm gonna get my best lime pantsuit and throw it into the race. Nice contrast stitching, by the way, on the jacket. Anyway, they said that she'd lead.
Yeah,
She would be leading the polls.
Biden by 1 point, 21-20.
How does that happen? You know,
Wishful thinking. There's a block of the Democratic Party that's just, ruining the day that she didn't win. First female president, so educated, so knowledgeable about the office, such a liar.
so much to hide.
Oh boy.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Jiminy
it's hard to
Christmas.
believe that she could really be a viable candidate. But I mean, look at Bloomberg. He's coming in, spent a bunch of money, going nowhere. Zero on the zerometer.
Well, you said that on the show a couple weeks ago when, Brian thought that he was going to be the next coming. I think
Yeah.
maybe I misspoke, but anyway.
No. Deval Patrick.
Oh, Deval Patrick. Where's
Is
he?
Yeah,
Deval Patrick.
We'll ask Brian on Friday. He's his
Yeah,
favorite
where's-
candidate.
Where's Deval Patrick in all of this?
Well, he thinks because he's Barack Obama backed that he's going to.
Well, there's no question that he is.
He's going to.
I agree
He's
with
going to.
that.
He's going to break out. And
And he just doesn't want to be in the fray with all the minions on the stages.
maybe.
Well, they can't qualify anyway yet, according to the Well, the Democrats will fix that. If they want him on the stage, they'll find a way to get him on there.
Yeah, all these things about filing dates and everything with the states to get your name on the ballot and all that.
Yeah.
That-
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We're good.
There'll be a
We're good
workaround.
here.
There'll be a workaround.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, and Steyer, the other billionaire. I mean, he's going nowhere. You hear nothing about him. But I think as some of these start to drop by the wayside, I think Corey's going to go soon. I think Michael Bennett from Colorado is still in. He's going to go.
I can't remember any of their names anymore. They're so irrelevant.
Yeah, exactly. And
You don't hear any of them except for about the top five. You got Biden, you got Sanders, you
Warren.
got Buttigieg, you got Warren, and then
Booker
you throw the whoever's making the most noise.
yeah, but
that week.
Tulsi Gabbard, she's
Yeah.
drifting away. Amy Klobuchar is drifting away. So there's a number of them. Is the
Tulsi Gabbard's a Russian spy.
yeah, military background though. So, but
Part of the resistance.
As some of these drift away and step away from the race, I think you'll start to see more of a headlining of some of these people that are sort of on the edges now. But we'll see.
In the second hour at 9:00, I'd really like to go in the weeds a little bit and give you my opinion on the whole Ukraine. Rush came out with some unbelievable stuff, and One America News. If you haven't looked at One America News, folks, take a look at it. It's a conservative show, news organization based out of San Diego, I believe.
San Diego.
I believe San Diego. And they've been around since
Nice place to live.
2013, 2014, something like that. But they're starting to make inroads And let me tell you, you don't see, with all of the, and I know I'm going off the rails here a little bit, just to preview what I want to talk about at 9.
You did say the weeds.
I know, yeah.
This isn't a cannabis company.
There's some rails that lead into those weeds. Have you seen, with all of the chatter about Rudy being in the Ukraine, have you seen any of the news organizations, the mainstream news organizations, that have taken the time to send one of their reporters over there to cover some of the stuff?
Nuh-uh.
Negative. Well, One American News Report did.
Or it's so explosive they can't run with it.
Yeah, so explosive. Yeah, well, anyway, we're going to go into that in the second hour, but, we started to go into the Durham, but let's go back to Horowitz, because that's the actual report that's out.
The Inspector General.
And not speculate on Horowitz, but maybe compare and contrast your thoughts on the Horowitz report.
Well, basically, he said there was no political bias exhibited by the leadership of the FBI or anybody involved with this whole thing, which raises the question, how do you test for political bias? And did they ask the question of, do you have a personal bias versus political bias? We don't know these things, but I think basically it was a whitewash of the FBI leadership on bias issues. And again, I'm not quite sure how they define that or ask that question. But I think the bigger bottom line for me was that there were 17 glaring omissions of procedure in what they did with the FISA application and the FISA renewals.
The FBI.
The FBI. And to the point where the FBI has announced an audit of their practices for future FISA applications. Doesn't do much for what happened already with Carter Page and the whole hoax thing, but Horowitz not having grand jury power and subpoena power, just sort of, I think, laid the roadmap down for Durham. John Durham, who is doing a parallel report, if you will, has that power. So I think criminal referrals and some of the things that Horowitz has laid out will be acted upon by Durham.
Horowitz doesn't have any power at all.
Yeah.
He can only talk to people that are currently in the Department of Justice.
And he talks about like what the current procedure is for, or what the playbook is, the rules of employment.
It's all procedural stuff, and it's not.
Yeah.
There's nothing that comes out of it of substance ever. And I don't understand why the guy's still in the same position. He's a leftover Obama hack who's just a milquetoast.
But it's typical for our government agencies, though. They have positions like this to protect the public,
right.
And so that we have, good civil servants across the board in all these agencies.
Right.
And it's sort of anachronism. It's window dressing.
Here's how it works. Seriously, here's how it works. He sits in a room and he's talking to somebody that's currently within the DOJ, and he said, was there any political bias in Nanny Boo Boo? Well, no, there wasn't. Okay, no political bias. And he writes it down.
And you can leave. Thank you.
You can leave. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how it works.
Yeah.
And that's why the Democrats were just so excited about this report coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Because unlike the Mueller report, where there was no collusion, they all just kind of went, oh my God, what are we going to do now? Oh, wait, Horowitz is coming out. And as soon as he said there was no political bias, that's what everybody was running with, including James Comey.
Yeah, and Director Wray. They both came out, and Andrew McCabe. And they all came out with these, hey, we're free and clear and clean as the day is new.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Don't buy it for a minute.
Exactly.
Anyway, so yeah, I think it laid out those glaring omissions. I think there's a lot of things for Durham to work with, which I think he already is on some of these. But it's sort of come and gone. It's not much is going to come of it.
Well, let's think about breaking here for a few minutes, and when we come back, let's talk about the reaction by Durham and the reaction by Barr to the Horowitz report and the reaction that the Democrats had and the counter reaction.
The reaction to the reaction.
The reaction to the reaction. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. And I think it's not only is it shocking, but I mean it truly is unconventional for some of the things that were said by Durham to be said at all.
Well, and Barr as well.
And Barr.
Yeah, both of them.
Unless there's some really, really bad stuff coming down the highway.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, if you were looking for BKP this morning, you're not finding them here, are you? We got RFG and BAC here from downtown Fannin County. Yeah, we muscled down the icy roads this morning and made it here on time so that we could be rescued by Destiny, who's in charge. Back behind the controls this morning, and I think
And she got in before us.
she got in well before us, but
Yeah,
she
so
lives
all's
closer.
good. Yeah,
She
well.
said she just kind of did a half slide down the hill, and yep. So little black ice, but who cares? We're here to substitute for BKP. We're going to take a short break here, and when we come back, we're going to talk about Durham's reaction and Barr's reaction to the IG report that Horowitz laid out. Take us to break, Destiny.